What's good, my ghouls and goblins? Welcome to Really Scare, where the movies are scary and the internet is spotty. My name is Taylor, and as always, joined by the top goblin. I can't even talk, dude.
The top goblin.
Top bloblin, the mob bloblin. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing about just the same as you.
Was that intro representative of how you feel too?
Yes, very.
Yeah. It was a dark and stormy night, and I got the tension headache to match. Was it the same over there today?
Yes. I'm working in Medina now. Right on spot with the headache too. Just a crazy headache, throbbing headache, and a tornado came through Medina. Apparently.
Oh, did it actually touch down? This is the weather report.
Yeah, I had no idea until I got just a loud alert on my phone, and I was like, oh, that's nice to know, as it's happening. Completely safe, didn't really go, it went around where I was working, so pretty weird day.
Weird day. Weird times. I'm glad you're safe. You have an iPhone as well, so were you getting those awful weather amber alerts?
Yeah.
So unpleasant. I just kept yelling every single time. It might be where my headache started, was just being scared by that.
Yeah, I think so too.
More so than any Halloween movie I've watched this month. The klaxon siren of my phone scared me so bad. Got a couple friends in the chat. We got Billy Saurus hanging out. We got Just Paxton hanging out. Great to see you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We got a great show for you tonight. Talking Halloween, continuing our Halloween marathon series. Of course, pretty big update is since we last recorded, or last broadcasted, I should say, we had a new Halloween movie come out, which you and I both had the privilege of seeing. Of course, we'll be doing our very own episode all about that, slated to come out on the 31st. But I'm sure some thoughts will pop in here and there, because how can you not? How can you not? You know? But in a nutshell, I had a blast at Halloween Kills. I know it's the latest movie discourse.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think me and you are on the same page about it. Probably on the same page about this one as well.
We're always on the same page, whether it's the movies we watch or the blunt head trauma we're experiencing at any given moment. Apparently, we're always riding the same wave together. But it's cool. I'm excited to talk about this one. Tonight, we're talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween, the 2007 remake, which I had never seen prior to watching it for this episode. So it was kind of always my Halloween blind spot. And as I understand it, the same is true for our potentially guests. We got KaylaMarieTea and Ashlinaa on the show tonight. Ashlina's run a little late. I don't know if she'll make it. I'm fingers crossed. I'm hoping she can. She ran into some delays today, so hopefully she'll be able to drop in and hang out with us at some point tonight. But worry not. We got a great guest in front of the show hanging out with us right now. Let's delay no further and bring her in. Ghouls and Goblins, put your hands together for KaylaMarieTea.
Hello,
Hi, Kayla.
hello. What's up?
Welcome back. How are you doing? Did you have a headache? What's good?
No, but I am sick, so I'm kind of part of the crew with that.
Yeah.
we all have an ailment today.
I used to get ritualistically sick as a child every single Halloween. It was always such a bummer for me because I've always loved this time of year. Every October, I would get hit with it. And nowadays, I don't get sick too often, because I just live in a bubble and in a basement.
Yeah, it's hard when you're not exposed to get sick. So
yeah. So I think I might get through all of October without it. Knock on wood. But man, I got these blue light glasses today.
Me too.
Oh, you got
Mine
the blue
light.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not prescription or a fashion choice, but I'm told this might help with my my throbbing brain, my throb zombie, if you will.
Oh no. No.
Oh man. It's funny. We very selectively picked out our 4 Halloween movies this month because there's only so many weeks in the month. We couldn't possibly cover them all. We'd be talking about them into January probably. And as we did it, as we sort of talked to guests, and it was which one do you want to pick? The one that stayed on the list for the longest, where instead of going, which one do you want to pick, we started going to people and say, do you want to do this one?
Yeah.
And that became what we did for Rob Zombie's Halloween. When I talked to Kayla and Ashley, I said, do you want to do this one? And you so kindly agreed. You said yes, you would talk about this movie.
I said yes before knowing if I had seen it or not. Because there's so many Halloween movies. I was like, I don't know if this is the one that I've seen. And then I looked it up and then I rented it a couple nights ago and I was like, yeah, I've not seen this one. Yeah, I've not.
Yeah. Kind of hits different, as they say.
Hit different.
That is an understatement.
Kayla, you did kind of mention it. You've seen, a few of these at least. What's kind of your experience with the Halloween franchise? Like, have you been a fan? Would you say you are a fan, generally speaking? Have you kind of watched them throughout your life, or what's your relationship?
I wouldn't say that Halloween is like one of my favorite franchises. But my experience with Halloween from I think when I first saw Halloween, I think I was seeing the remakes, but not the Rob Zombie one, but the more, does that make sense? Like the more 2000s. Yeah, I think those are the ones that I've seen. And I saw the one where it was maybe I'm thinking of Freddy versus Jason. I don't even know, but I've seen a couple. I've seen maybe 2 Halloween movies and that's it. But they seem to be the newer ones. I don't think I've ever seen, maybe even not the original one. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen ones with Jamie Lee Curtis in it, but I couldn't tell you which one it was. I'll have to rewatch them now that we're talking about it today.
Did you see the one with Busta Rhymes?
Oh no,
that sounds familiar. So probably I'm gonna look up a list of them right now and just try to
that one's Halloween Resurrection, and it's bar none I hate that one. That's my least favorite one. It's no coincidence we did not pick that for this month to talk about. It would be no fun for anybody to hear me talk about. I just cannot stand Halloween Resurrection. I'm going on a whole marathon rewatch of Halloween movies this month naturally, and I don't know if I'll have the nerve to sit down and rewatch
There's
Halloween.
So many. Holy crap!
There's a few.
So many.
There's a couple.
There's a handful.
I would say it's potentially the most convoluted horror franchise, maybe only potentially rivaled by Friday the 13th. But even Friday the 13th doesn't have several built-in continuity resets and this one's a sequel to this one, but not this one. Halloween has that all over the place. It's very complicated. You would have to make a cork board and thumb pins and chart
Charlie
out.
Day it.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to.
Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah, Pepe Silva. Billy's experience with Halloween mostly comes from Dead by Daylight. Is he a killer in that, Michael?
You can get all kinds of added killers.
Michael is in it. Yes, he's in it.
Nice, yeah. What an interesting position for you, Kayla, that you've seen this one, but maybe not the actual movie. It's at least halfway.
Well, because I'm looking right now and I'm seeing that the first one was 78.
My introduction to Halloween. I saw this one before I saw the original. So
really, okay.
Really,
this one is 2007, right? So
yes,
that's right in the middle of the newest one and the first one.
Because my parents saw it in theaters and they were like, "There's no way we're letting you see this movie."
I would not let any child see this movie.
My high school had a public library connected to it, and you could rent DVDs from there for free as long as you had a library card. And of course, every student had one. We needed one, and so I just went during the day when it came out on DVD and rented it from the library. Watched it in my room,
good move.
At 2 a.m, and I was like, "Oh, this movie's awesome."
The library was the low-key way to watch some stuff you shouldn't be watching as a kid.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't think so, but it totally the librarians don't Blockbuster. They're asking for IDs. Librarians are go on, young one, you got to learn somehow, but it may as well be this way.
Okay,
at least you're learning something at the library.
I didn't know this childhood hack. I missed out apparently. Jesus.
Yeah, we knew all the hacks. IFC channel, the library.
It's very easy nowadays for the young ones to get their illicit materials.
It was tough back in the day. It was really tough.
We had to dig deep to find that shit. We had to find those gems.
Listen, I had divorced parents, so I just experienced everything. I would go to my dad's house. He wasn't paying attention. I would just, that's where I would get all my mature content. He didn't care.
Now, I would love to know, Kayla, have you seen, previous to this, had you ever seen a Rob Zombie movie?
List some out for me, because I think I definitely have.
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Possibly.
The Devil's Rejects.
Weirdly enough, these movies I might have seen when I was very young.
Oh, I saw them when I was very young too.
Yeah, because my brother was into horror, and I have a feeling I've seen them, but I was so young that I couldn't even say I remembered them.
And it is a lot of corpses.
It was a lot of corpses in that movie.
Be
and Rainn Wilson from The Office is in it. It's turned into a fish man.
Oh, dang! All right, I'm gonna have to look this up too now. I don't really know.
I asked because really right off the bat, I feel like Rob Zombie very quickly establishes like what his cinematic language is, so to speak. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
You get a quick feel for like what his flavor is, and when you see a Rob Zombie movie and you understand what that is, you know what you're going to get every time you see a Rob Zombie movie. And the same is especially true with this one. We got Jeremy in the chat. What's going on, buddy? Glad to see you. Which is, super graphic violence, rampant nudity, disgusting like barf redneck dialogue and characters.
Right off the bat in this one, like the dialogue that the like mom's boyfriend has just off rip, I'm just like, holy fuck.
I hated that. I was like, please, I'm so uncomfortable. Someone help.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's ways to put pervy characters in movies. This was like over the top. This was just like, I wanted to hurt somebody. I was just so uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, his movies do make you pissed off like immediately. Like it gets under your skin, and then you have no option but to be pissed off. Just like it gets under your skin, and that makes for a good like psychological horror filmmaker. Like if you can make your movie get under people's skin, for better or for worse, that's, I mean, job well done.
It will affect you. I feel like his movies, I would say they have the energy of like hearing your neighbors have a domestic dispute next door, and you just hear it through the wall, and it's like 11:30, and you're like pretty much ready to go to bed, but you're like kind of nervous because you're like, how bad's it gonna get? Do I need to do something? Should I try to tune it out? And then that's the energy that carries through all of his films the whole time. That like frantic nervousness is how I think all of his movies, including his Halloween movies, that's how they make me feel.
The same is said for his music, though. Like you hear Dragula, and you just want to burn something down.
That's true. I'm slamming.
You're slamming in the back of that Dragula.
Had you listened to Rob Zombie's music at all, Kayla? Was that ever a phase for you?
Yes. Well, it wasn't a phase for me, but I would say it was for my brother. So like, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely was super. I mean, that was me as a kid. I was into, any sort of like industrial goth music. Like Rob Zombie has like, he's pretty, I feel like he's stayed on the up and up pretty well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people from that era either got like embarrassing and like, kept it going way past the time they should, or have been like disgraced for like disgusting shit they did in the prime of their career. But like Rob Zombie's just kind of out here doing his thing. He's
under the radar. He's under the radar. I feel like I haven't heard anything like that stands out as negative about him or anything like that.
By all means, all I've heard about him is that he's like a real cool guy. And that's really it. Like he's just like a real nice and cool, down to earth guy. And that's like it with what his art says, like you would just expect the total opposite.
Yeah. I had a buddy who used to do production and like tear down for the House of Blues, and Rob Zombie played there. And he said, if I recall correctly, paraphrasing, he said like Rob Zombie and his wife Sherry Moon couldn't have been like nicer, more personable people, which you always love to hear that shit, especially when someone's image is so intense publicly.
Yeah.
Like you're the actual person behind it is like pretty cool. And you would never really know, but that, watching his work, but that's kind of like the dichotomy of a lot of horror, I feel, is it's so out there and crazy. And then you like forget that very normal and like well-adjusted people could somehow be behind it,
Some.
Not all by far, but some. Matt's concerned about my glasses. They're blue light glasses. My head hurts, so I'm hoping this will help it. And that's true. Rob Zombie's working on a Monsters reboot.
Very excited.
What?
Yeah, which is
that'll be wild. That will be fucking wild.
Yeah, which feels out of his wheelhouse because it's like a family-friendly, obviously Addams Family-esque old TV show. But apparently he's got a take on it, so I'm very curious to see what that take's gonna be. That's true, and that's a good point, Billy. Familiarity with Rob Zombie comes from a Facebook post where he was defending baby metal. Very cool thing to do.
Eddie's first line of dialogue is going to be, "I'm going to skull fuck you."
No, I hope not. I hope not. Let's talk about this movie a little bit. So this movie, I was reading a little bit about kind of the behind the scenes like build up to this movie and like how it got put into production. And it's very, very curious time for the franchise because coming out of Halloween Resurrection, which I've already aired my thoughts on, they had this interesting thing where like they did H2O, which is like their first in continuity reboot, where they said we're going to forget all the sequels except the first two movies, and Jamie Lee's back and Laurie's back, and everybody loves it. And they make Halloween Resurrection, and it's so bad all the fans tune out already. So they're like back, they're like spinning again. What are we going to do now? And I guess there was like 5 or 6 different Halloween projects that were in like pre-production where they were trying to figure out what they were going to do. I never knew this. There was apparently like deep plans to do a Michael Myers Hellraiser crossover.
Yep.
And then they decided not to because they thought Freddy versus Jason was going to bomb, and they were totally wrong. I guess they even put like a poll on the internet that was like, how would you guys like to see this? And like most people said no. So like, that's a hell of a way to green light your blockbuster films, is just ask people if they want to watch it, and they say no. So they canned that right away. There was like another, they're like, well, we messed up the Laurie stuff. Maybe we should make another sequel with the like Jamie Danielle Harris stuff. And they decided not to do that. And then there was a plan to do like a Josh Hartnett and Charles Cyphers movie follow up to like they kept getting all this stuff into pre-production and like couldn't get it to stick. And then the producer of like all the Halloween movies up until this point, you may have seen his name. He always pops up, like presented by Mustafa Akkad.
Mm-hmm.
His name always pops up before every single one. He was like the guy who greenlit and like financed the very first Halloween movie, and he produces all of them. He dies in a terrorist bombing at a wedding in Jordan, which just pulls the plug on all of these projects. And so Halloween just kind of sits in limbo for a little bit. And then his son takes it up, whose name I don't recall right off the top of my head, so that's my bad. But his name pops up instead in front of this one, and still does, I think, even to Halloween Kills now. But the plug gets pulled on all of those. The Weinsteins come in at some point. Yuck. I really forget how like those guys were fucking everywhere in like the 90s and early 2000s. It's like their names are on so many movies that I like. Connor's out. He's like, fuck it, I'm out. I don't blame him. He's gone.
He's like, delete me from this conversation.
Yeah, it was a bummer to have those names pop up. It's always a bummer when you put on a movie and you're like, shit, man. But they get involved in the process somewhere, and then somehow it eventually gets pitched to Rob Zombie, who's now made a couple of his movies. He's kind of established his brand as the redneck horror guy. House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil Rejects, and they come to him and they say, what do you have for Halloween? And I guess he jumps at the opportunity, like, wow, that's the golden ticket to make a Halloween movie. And I guess O'Connor's cats are being assholes. I just want to announce for everybody publicly why he left is because his cats are being so treacherous for him.
Publicly.
He can't. How do the cats do it?
But they're so cute.
Oh no, I think they muted your mic as well. Sorry, they unplugged your mic.
Shit, I'm so sorry. I'm a mess. No, they are assholes. They like to chew on literally any cord that they can get near. And so I try to like keep them out of this room, but then they claw at the door, and it is the most annoying sound ever. So I'm just gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got Davis in the chat. He joined us last week for Halloween 3, and he likes Rob Zombie movies because they remind him to shower, and that's fair.
That's true.
That is fair.
I couldn't stop thinking for most of the movie how like sweaty and like dirty fingernails every single character was, and I was just like, no, thank you.
I do want to ask a question. What time period is any of this supposed to take place?
I think
they never show dates.
I think they established. Did they not put a year on the start when Michael the early stuff with Michael?
I don't think they did.
I think they did, but I don't remember. Yeah, because I remember like they started the very beginning of the movie. I think they had the date, and then when it went into the future, it had the year, and then after that they stopped using the year, so it showed like the month. It was like, oh, and then it goes to Halloween, but they didn't show the year the second time, so maybe that's
even in the like what's supposed to be modern times, like everybody's still dressed like they're in the 70s, and except for Laurie, like, but everybody else is dressed like they're in the 70s. Nobody really uses a cell phone, I think.
I didn't really have nothing like that really caught my eye.
I was just weird. I never know what time period any of Rob Zombie's movies take place, because even when like you suspect that it's modern times based on like dialogue and like certain things, it's just everybody's still dressed like they're like in the 70s.
I had noticed that. Maybe I was too distracted by all the screaming all the time and every scene by every character. I hadn't noticed that. I bought it as being, contemporary to 2007. So I didn't have anything like that really take me out. Jeremy says 60s, 70s. I don't know. I didn't see anything that made me feel the thing that really I took to was like, oh, he did at least decide to do it sort of contemporary instead of just set this in the 70s again, because the original set in the 70s, which I think is the right move. There's a lot of stuff. I don't necessarily agree with all the decisions in this movie, but what I will say is kind of a blanket statement that will probably come up multiple times is I appreciate that this is a movie from a guy who has a vision for it. It's not, a beat for beat remake. In fact, when it gets to the very remakey stuff, that's when I kind of tune out. But when he's doing his own thing, that's when I'm captivated by it. And he starts doing his own thing real loud, real early in this movie. Very loud. It's a decision to even go this deep into Michael's childhood, right? That's what his take is, right? They come to him and they say, "What's your take?" And I guess his thought right off the bat was to do initially 2 movies, and this would have all been about childhood Michael.
Yes.
The whole movie would have been about his life up to becoming what we know as Michael Myers. And I think that's where they say, no, we're going to remake it. We need you to put this in it. We need to do the Laurie stuff. We want to have the back half of the movie be Halloween that everybody knows. And I guess
like his pitch was entirely his childhood. And then the like closing like image was an older Michael putting on the classic Michael Myers mask.
Yeah, which would have been a huge risky idea, but also interesting. I think the entire approach of like, I'm going to do a character study about Michael Myers, who by definition, the strongest thing about that character is like that you can't empathize with them at all, right? Like that's the 70s take. Loomis keeps telling you he's an irredeemable evil and his eyes are black and there's nothing in there. Like that's the entire interpretation of that character until now. And Rob Zombie says, well, actually, I'm going to show you what he was like, which is risky because that kind of demystifies him, I think, a bit to get where he's from. But I appreciate that he's trying to do something different with this. Even though I don't always love his like redneck vomit aesthetic, which is this whole opening scene.
The more I see this movie and the more I see any of his movies, I'm like, I like the style.
You're into?
Yeah, I probably have seen this movie upwards of like 10 to 15 times.
Holy shit. This is a jammer for you.
Yeah, I really like his Halloween movies, which is very controversial. And I love my biggest hot take is Lords of Salem is his best movie, which everybody hates, but I think some of his stuff was just way ahead of its time. Because a lot of it and a lot of stuff in his sequel H2, which we'll probably end up getting into, I think a lot of it kind of resembles like what A24 is doing. Not so much in this way, especially in the sequel and like Lords of Salem. He gets more psychological, and I think he was just way ahead of his time.
Which I don't get a ton from this one. I think this one's pretty...
definitely not from this one. This one's just straight up like early 2000s, like as much violence and nudity as possible.
This one's pretty literal.
For like the early 2000s to mid 2000s, it was pretty common for that style. But as the years went on, he got more artistic with his style, I guess.
And probably just more indulgent, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but just more willing to take risks and make the movies that he's interested in seeing. Because I understand his experience in making these was very troubling.
God awful. Yeah.
Yeah. So much so that they had to like really convince him to do the second one because
they had to throw bags at him to get him to come back.
He apparently had a rough time making this, though. He did get John Carpenter's blessing, from what I understand. Yeah. And that was Carpenter's advice to him, was make it your own movie, which he sure as shit did, I think.
Yes, he did.
He sure as shit did. And Carpenter, I saw we've talked about it before, but like I saw the exact quote the other day where he's like, somebody asked him at like a convention or something, like, what do you think of the sequels? And he's like, it's not my job to tell you how to feel about the sequels. That's your job. He's like, the thing about all the sequels to Halloween is this crazy thing happens where I'll be sitting on my couch at home, feet up, and I put my hand out and a check lands in it. And it's amazing. Like just so shameless and saying he doesn't give a shit as long as he gets paid.
Damn.
Which I think kind of rules if you're just chilling at home. But he should have John Carpenter should have a Twitch because he loves playing video games, apparently. I would love to see John Carpenter just chain smoking on Twitch and playing Halo or whatever it is he plays. That'd be awesome. Halloween 2007. Kayla, how did you feel like getting to see Michael Myers as a kid? Like, did that play for you at all?
So I didn't expect. So in my head, I'm already like, when I started to watch the movie, I was like, oh, I know what to expect. It's going to be like a 10-minute intro about his backstory, and then the rest of the movie is going to be him just chopping up teenagers, right? So like that's just what I just expected. And when we got to, it was like almost half the movie when it was still about him as a kid. I was like, where is this going? And I was like, I checked to see like, how long have I been watching this movie? And I'm like, wait a second, this is showing me like a lot more than I expected of his childhood. So that was a surprise. I guess maybe I just don't know as much about Michael Myers as I've always thought I did, because like his whole thing was that, I mean, really, he didn't have almost any motive for killing.
No.
The only thing that made sense in the entire movie was when he killed his stepdad.
Ronnie sucked. He had it coming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like that wasn't surprising. Like I was like, okay, like that makes sense. And I didn't shock me or anything. But like I was like, okay, that's like quite a leap from like he killed a cat and now he's killing a human. And it was a big leap. And then I think I was really shocked that he killed his sister. I didn't really understand. Like at that point I was like, okay, so he has like almost no reason or.
So my take was, when they find the cat in his locker and
in his book bag.
Yeah. And
Loomis, carrying it around.
Loomis is like, this is how like serial killers start. Yeah. I think, when Ronnie is just straight up bullying him that night, I think that was like the last straw, and then he kills him and he gets the taste of like killing humans instead of animals, and then he's like, oh, I'm just going to kill everybody. And so anybody that even crosses his path, he's just killing.
But like he wouldn't kill his mom, he wouldn't kill his baby sister, but he killed his older sister. Because, and it's like
it shows he still has humanity. I mean,
which is interesting.
But that's what I thought. That's what I thought he didn't have. That's why, because him not killing his mom and his sister
kind of like fucked him over in some way. His sister bullied him, the boyfriend, I think, is just like whatever.
Collateral.
Yeah, pretty much collateral damage.
Yeah.
Well, we are forgetting an important. I don't know. I think he does die. The very first person he attacks is his school bully.
The kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody notice who that was?
That is Junie from Spy Kids.
Yeah. Daryl Sabara, Junie Cortez.
Yeah.
The shit kicked out of him.
I remember
Michael Myers.
In this,
he deserved it.
I was
he said
all
some
about
gnarly
Spy
shit.
Kids.
Yeah.
Even Spy Kids 3D. I had the DVD with the 3D glasses, like the little plastic ones. I would watch that show all the time. So when I saw this at a very young age, I was like, hearing the words that came out of his mouth, I was like, oh,
Junie.
Yeah.
Junie.
That was no good. No good.
Did you know Junie's married to Megan Trainor?
Yep. And they have
what?
They have toilets next
to
each other.
Oh my god, that's the person.
You knew where I was going with that.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I brought it up is because they shit side by side together.
Yeah.
Full circle, because I knew about that story. I didn't know it was
Pretty
him that she
cool.
was married
Pretty cool.
to.
I mean, that's the life.
Strong. That's strong and it's confident.
Strong bond.
Yeah. They're pooping partners. It's true. Daryl Sabara shows up. A lot of interesting people kind of show up for little bits and cameos throughout this. But yes, I think when we see him finally unleash when he comes home that night, on Halloween night, I think we're seeing him. Here's what surprised me. I feel like we're seeing him transition from, Michael the kid into Michael, like the phenom, right? Like, he kills Ronnie, but there's motive. Ronnie was a piece of shit. Like, who wouldn't? He was the worst, irredeemable scumbag.
Yes, disgusting, really perverted, disgusting man.
Yeah, just horrifying. He's like the character who announces that you're watching the Rob Zombie movie. So, by the way, if you didn't know, Ronnie's going to tell you what this movie's vibe is, and he gets it. He gets it super hard. But yes, his sister's boyfriend also gets it, that's when I really feel we're starting to see Michael Myers, because like that dude there's no vengeance in that. He just happened to be there, and so he got it, which is what Michael Myers really we know has become. He's just kind of like wanton destruction wherever he goes. If you're there, you're out. And then he kills Judith, which you said surprised you, Kayla, which leads me to believe that you weren't sure, but it sounds like you probably haven't seen the original one. That's the big moment.
Oh, where he kills his older sister?
That's like that's the opening of the very original film is Michael killing his sister. But,
I'm sure so in that movie though, is there more of a motive, or is it kind of the same as he's just killing? Completely
mysterious. It takes this movie, I would say 20 to 30 minutes to get to where that movie starts minute 2 at, which is Michael stabbing his sister to death. And there's no real explanation. You don't get like any sort of lead in as to why he did that to his sister. It's all kind of just left open for you to project on the character. But as Loomis keeps telling you in the movie, it's because he's pure fucking evil. That's why he did it. That's all you need to know. But this
his sister wasn't the best, obviously. She was not like an amazing sister, but she didn't necessarily do anything where in my head I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like,
Yeah. Just bummed him out on trick or treating. Didn't take him.
Mm-hmm.
Left him home to get boned, get in the zone there. Which we gotta talk about this weird sexual relationship with the mask.
Yeah,
this was something, because in the original movie, all they say about the mask is like he breaks into a hardware store and stole it from the Halloween mask section. That's it. That's his only relationship with that mask. He stole it from the store, and for some reason he's been wearing it ever since. And this, love it or hate it, they come up with a real reason that mask is relevant to his life. That being that his sister's boyfriend was wearing it when they were having sex. And what's that guy's vibe all about? I don't really understand. It seems like a terrible time to make love in that mask. It'd be very distracting for everybody involved, personally. A sweaty ass Halloween mask, even just to be the guy wearing it, like smells sweaty, hot. And if you're his partner, you won't be looking at that. That's weird.
Did they actually go through with it, or was it him joking that he was going to do it?
He definitely wanted to, but Judith was like, that ain't it.
That ain't it, Chief.
You're gonna take that off. But just introducing it through that lens is already, again, putting so much more into Michael's character, where previously he's just kind of void of character. He's just, he's the silent killer, which even hearing him as a kid speak already like weirded me out. Because in the original, even in the flashback, you never hear the kid say anything. You never hear him make a noise ever. Where in this, like, he's having full on dialogue. It was just so weird, especially because we're watching, the new ones now, the David Gordon Green movies, which like are so into keeping up with what the original one was. They really love being in continuity with that. So like seeing someone go a complete other direction with it was like so jarring to me. But I appreciate that it's doing it. It's something different for sure, which I'll probably keep saying is I appreciate trying to do something different. Now the kills are so much more intense in this, which I feel like we should start talking about, because you get it with Judith, which is just like every kill scene's very long, very graphic.
God, almost unbearable. Talk about Judith's kill scene. Fuck. Even the boyfriend, like when he's twitching on the ground, I'm just like, God, like cut away, please. Cut away.
I had a completely different reaction than you guys, apparently, because I was kind of like, these kills are boring.
Really?
I don't know what it was, but I just felt like they were so not creative, maybe is what I'm maybe I'm just used to like modern maybe I'm used to like more modern horror, like super, I don't know, but like I guess I just some of the kills I was like, okay, like cut her throat, cut his throat, cut that person's throat, and I was just like kind of getting, it seemed kind of like it seemed like a lot of them were similar and like quick, like I don't know, it just felt like just very, very quick. And like the one scene, I mean, this is jumping ahead a bit, but later on in the movie where he's going after the guards in the facility.
No, not Danny Trejo.
That pissed me off. He should have sacrificed it. He should not have done that. I was so fucking mad.
He's literally probably the only person on Earth that ever stood up for him and like helped him. And I'm
another Spy Kids alum.
That's very true.
Gotta be
you're right.
Yeah, he's Uncle Machete.
Maybe Michael just doesn't like Spy Kids.
But okay, but like so like he has some sort of, we're talking about, he has some sort of very, very small like moral pathway of, he didn't kill his mom, he didn't kill his sister. Why did he kill him? That guy was nice to him for how many years?
I never understand that motive.
It was brutal too. I think his death was probably the worst to me, in my opinion. Drowning is just no. But that was awful. That was a long, painful death.
He really let him have it.
Yeah.
And I feel like by then, because that's when we jump ahead 15 years, right? I feel like by then you're really seeing Michael Myers defined. I do think it's very curious that as a boy, he doesn't kill who we know to eventually become Laurie, his little baby sister. It is very interesting because in the original, I don't think Laurie had even been born yet when Michael, killed his sister. Because in the original, it certainly isn't true, because in the original, she's not his sister yet. That doesn't show up until the sequels. But in this, it has again, the different angle of knowing that she's his sister from the start kind of informs how the story is going to work. So it is curious that he does spare anybody, and especially his little baby sister, because it gives you room to think, okay, there is a line for this guy still. Like there is still some acknowledgement of right and wrong, like in his soul, which is completely missing.
Very small. Very, very small.
Very small, not comparable to what you would, perhaps you or I, but through the lens of a movie slasher, it's like, okay, there is still some things he won't do at this stage. That in his 15 years in the sanitarium seem to go away.
Smaller.
Right, which is, I guess, probably all Dr. Loomis's fault, which we get to see, though. Again, we get to see what Loomis's and Michael's relationship is like, which is we only get that through expository dialogue in the original. We just get Donald Pleasance waxing poetic, telling you how Michael was the absolute worst. And he's like, I gave up on that kid years ago. He's irredeemable. So you never get to see like what walked him up to that conclusion. And in this, you get a little bit of it. You can actually get to see them share scenes, which, you know, building their relationship. And how do we feel about Malcolm McDowell, you know, stepping into the impossibly large shoes of Donald Pleasance to play this character?
He's so creepy.
Yeah.
I just find him so fucking creepy.
The therapist?
Yeah.
Yeah, Loomis.
Yeah.
Which again, Kayla, I guess you've seen some of the
I
sequels.
can't compare, but like,
yeah,
I don't remember that part of any of the ones that I've seen, but he's a creep. And this movie, he creeps me out for sure.
So I feel like we probably have nailed down. Like H2O is probably around where you start tuning in, because that's also when Donald Pleasance passes, and so they don't do that character anymore. So like, but from the original all the way up to H2O, like he's like the recurring character in all of them. Is Michael's crazy old therapist who really just wants to kill Michael because he thinks he's irredeemable. So after all these years, you get Malcolm McDowell to do it, which I think he's fine in this. I mean, he's a great actor. I think he's fine in this. I think he's mostly just kind of doing a Donald Pleasance impersonation a lot. You know, that feels like all he's really doing. Whereas in the sequel, which again, will come up probably here and there, because Kayla, I imagine you were not tempted to watch the sequel to this.
Okay, I wasn't, but I'm going to, just out of pure like curiosity. I have to. But yeah, I wasn't jumping on the next one.
Way more creative in that one.
You know, can I just say, like, the reason, I think like part of the reason too, the kills did not get me is because when I realized that this character really was just out to kill anybody, no matter who they were, no matter how that person treated him. When he killed, I think at the point where he killed all the guards, and then he killed I guess was Danny, was he
was
like
a janitor.
Yeah. When he killed that character, I stopped being interested in the kills because none of them shocked me, because I'm like, oh, he's just going to kill everyone. So like, I think at that point on, it wasn't suspenseful for me. So I wasn't feeling that suspense or this being scared or anything. Cause I was like, oh, he's just like fucking out here killing everybody. Doesn't matter. So yeah, at that point, the suspense was lost for me, I think.
I will say this, and not to put down this movie too much, but I actually liked the second one way more than this, which I'm with you on that.
That makes me want to watch it. Like I do. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Because that one's not nearly as married to the original movies as this one is. Where like halfway through it feels like, well, I got to be Halloween for the rest of the movie. That one is him just going off and just doing whatever he wants, and it's so much more, for better or for worse, depending on how you enjoy his movies. It's way more identifiably a Rob Zombie movie, I think.
And I think it's way more interesting.
Yes, it's just a completely original take on
everything. It's so shocking, because that is probably like next to Resurrection, everybody's least favorite Halloween.
I do see it. You know, everybody's ranking their Halloweens this month with the new one coming out, and I always see that one land on
Rob Zombie's H2 is like up there for me.
I really dug it. Maybe because I went in with such a low expectation from everybody dogging on it, but I liked it a lot.
I remember seeing it in theaters. I went midnight showing. That's when midnight showings were still a thing. Saw it at midnight. Walked out. I was like, I fucking love that movie, and everybody was like, dog shit. And I'm like, what? And I've seen that one probably the same amount of times I've seen this one, and I'm like, I don't see why people hate this movie. I mean, I guess I can see why, but I don't understand it.
I think it's the conflicting ideas that you definitely can't please everybody, but it's the conflicting idea of like, why would you remake that? It's so dumb. And then when they see it, they go, why did they change everything? You know, like, that's not Michael Myers. That's not
Catch-22.
Yeah. But like, if you're going to make this, why would you make it exactly the same? Because the original is going to always live on a shelf. So if you're going to, get the toys out of the toy box, you may as well come up with something interesting with them, which I think this one still does for a lot of it. But like I said earlier, when it gets to the real strict remake stuff, that's where I kind of tune out a little bit. But that's apparently what they kind of inflicted on the movie. It's on the studio end. They were saying, no, it needs to be more identifiably 1978. And John Carpenter doesn't care. He's smoking. I mean,
even when he gets into remake territory, he still changes enough to where it's like, oh, this is kind of new. Like Laurie's a completely different character in this one. She's not entirely innocent. Like Jamie Lee Curtis is just like completely innocent, doesn't want to joke about anything. But right off the bat, Laurie's like joking about sex right away.
Yeah,
when we met her. And I was like,
children making sexual references and jokes. Listen, I'm just, it's because I'm just getting old now, but I felt so uncomfortable.
You definitely don't want to watch the Chucky TV series, because those are like most like shows where like kids are in like high school and stuff. They're clearly like almost 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
And so you're like, you don't picture them as kids. The Chucky TV series, they're kids like dropping F-bombs and like making sexual jokes. And it's like, this is really weird.
Yeah. I think that with this Halloween, like that's what it was too, Connor, is that the kids to me were like, okay, these are actual kids. None of them seemed like, oh, like 20 somethings. They all seemed like high schoolers. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to see these high schoolers naked. I don't want to hear them talking like this about sexual assault. I don't want to do this. Like, that's how I kept feeling in my head about it. And I was just like, I'm getting old because I don't watch these movies anymore relating to those characters. I'm like, I could be that girl's mom. Like, that's how I feel now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's like an even thicker layer of that. If you've seen like some of the older Halloween sequels, whereas Annie, Laurie's best friend in this, is played by Danielle Harris, who played Jamie Lloyd, who's the young kid in Halloween's Part 4 and 5, who's getting chased by Michael. Rob Zombie brings her back, which is pretty cool that she gets to be in this again. But now she's an adult and she's naked, and that's really weird to contend with.
That's really weird because Rob Zombie didn't want anybody from the original Halloweens in it. He wanted all new actors. Didn't want her in the movie, but the Weinsteins said, yes, you can come have this part, but you have to do the kill scene entirely naked.
Yeah, and it's not even like a quick kill scene, like a chase all through the house, like an extended chase, which I will, for whatever it's worth, apparently Danielle Harris was all about it.
She had no, even to this day, has no quarrels about it. Said she wanted to get away from this like childhood, like good girl, like persona, and was all for it.
Yes, she did not want people to continue to see her as little Jamie from Halloween.
Yeah, but the whole stipulation, like you can have this part, but you have to do the part completely naked, is just like, it's fucked up. Yeah. Especially when you know who it's coming from, it's even like more like, ugh.
Super gross. Though I do hope she, just for the fun of it, I hope she can maybe come back in Halloween Ends, like just playing like another character in another Halloween continuity. Like, why the fuck not? I think that would be cool. Weird career, right? To just bounce around this series and get chased by Michael Myers in different scenarios and different characters. But I thought it was cool. I had no idea that she was in this. So I thought that was a cool little Easter egg. And I agree with Laurie. Again, I don't have this problem so much in the second movie because it's such its own thing. But in this, because Laurie I feel like Laurie as a character in this kind of gets the shaft, obviously, in favor of setting up Michael as a real character. And I feel like the movie totally kind of relies on you just knowing like, oh, yeah. Laurie, she's in the first one. Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah. Like, I feel like it relies on you just kind of knowing who that is, because I don't think it gets too deep into it. And again, same way that Malcolm McDowell had like an impossible, like, okay, you got to be this character who's been played by somebody else for years. Scout Taylor Compton had like such a thankless task of, you're going to be Laurie Strode. No one else has ever played this character except Jamie Lee. Yeah. 4 different times. It's iconic. Everybody loves it. It's legendary. So like, now you go do it. And if you figure out what your take is, like that had to be so intimidating and strange. But I had a really hard time coming around to like perceiving the character as Laurie Strode. And maybe it's because her behavior is so different. She's not, the innocent, straight-laced schoolgirl that's so...
She wasn't, like, she definitely wasn't that, but she was the most innocent.
Yeah.
So, like, true. That's the meter of this movie, is, like, she definitely wasn't, but she was the most innocent character besides the 2 tiny, tiny children later on. That like literally.
Yeah, that's
She
true.
was pretty foul too.
In context of this movie, she's still definitely like the moral, guideline for this of the movie. While we're talking about actors, I can't believe I mentioned it so far because this is one of my favorite things about these movies. Yo, Michael Myers, he's big Michael.
Yeah,
huge.
I loved that. That was cool. He was big, scary man.
Yeah, he's played by an actor named Tyler Mane, who I think naturally used to be a pro wrestler, which you totally see how that works. Which, like, this is the ideal role for a wrestler. I feel like it's like, hey, don't worry about how you're going to emote and perform. You put this mask on, you just run through a fucking wall, and you look awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
even with no mask, you could never see his face, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah. Big Michael, he's so big.
Big boy.
Definitely the like most imposing, even to the new ones. I think this is the most imposing, scary Michael Myers I think I've seen in any of these movies. And I like the mask. That's something a lot of the sequels struggle with. His mask looks really fucking stupid in a lot of the, like they never could get it quite right after the first one. All those sequels, the mask always looks super dumb. But in this one,
talking about the CGI mask and whatever that one is.
There was a CGI one. What?
Yeah.
Which one? Yeah, which one had that?
I think that was. Is it part 6 with Paul Rudd? I think
it might be.
They like fucked something up in one of the scenes, and they had to like digitize in. It looks like a Snapchat filter. They like had to put it.
It's just like floating on the screen. It doesn't look. It's bad.
Oh God!
Would you concur with me, Connor, that after the first 2 movies, they never get the mask right again until this one?
No, and that's so strange. Like every single mask in every single movie, besides the first 2, is just so like so weird. How I can't even explain it. They just fuck up the mask in every single movie as it goes on. Like
I'm looking at like comparisons right now, and it's terrible.
Yeah, they get.
I need to share this with you guys. Oh my God!
And then this one, like I feel like the mask is actually scary.
Yeah, I did like the mask a lot in this one.
And we were talking about this too, Connor, just how fucking big this guy is. He's a big lad.
A fucking giant.
So big. You gotta love it.
And then he just seems even more giant in the second one. It might be the giant beard he has. I don't know, but
hold on, I'm gonna share the screen real quick.
I can't do these masks. Are these all real? Like
these are all real.
So bad.
These are all
so
real.
bad. They're so bad.
They're terrible. They're terrible. Like,
holy shit!
It's so interesting that the first one, which I know they were talking about in chat earlier, the first movie is literally a spray painted white William Shatner mask.
Yeah.
They reuse it in the second one because they shoot
I knew
very close together. And
wait,
then somehow
are the right 2? Is that the same movie?
What's that?
Is the 2 on the right, top and bottom right? Are those the same movie? That's the same.
No, this is H2O and this is Resurrection, I believe.
Oh.
And this is, and by the way, this is the digital mask that they.
Yes, yeah.
You couldn't tell. You couldn't tell. It's like a PS2 texture on someone's face.
It's so bad.
It's so weird how they like the first movie. It's such a thrown together thing where like at the last minute they decide, oh, we're not going to make him a clown killer. We're going to give him like this William Shatner mask. And then all through the 80s and 90s, they can never quite get the mask right again, even though they actually have more money to use. It's not until the Rob Zombie one, I think, it ever works again, because at least, again, he's trying something different. And it's like the rest of the movie, everything in it is so grungy and dirty and ripped and torn up. And so gives it more of an organic feel than whatever it is that they can, like, even when the movies are good, like that H2O scene where they like meet at the window, it's like such a good scene, but he looks so stupid that it takes me out of it every time. And yeah, that's it, Paxton. How hard it would be to replicate? You think it'd be the easiest thing?
Apparently,
you think it'd be the easiest thing, but they just never could quite get it right again when they're trying to recreate it. It was just like on that day with that production crew, they made a great mask out of something they got at the Halloween store. And then when you have like a full studio, like making molds of the mask, they just fuck it up. The eyes are too big. Sometimes it's like. Can
you imagine if they fucked up the Ghostface mask that bad? Like movie after movie?
Oh my God.
Oh, did somebody? Did somebody? Hold on. I see this. I gotta.
Okay, the ranking I don't agree with, but I do agree the top 5 are the best ones.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up the ranking here.
The rest though are all equally terrible.
It's such a weird. It's so
I
weird.
like the top 5.
So like, okay, yep. Here we got the OG, and they get it right in the new Blumhouse ones. They get it right there. Again, it's like it's haggard and grungy, but it looks good. I'm not sure which one this one is up here, but it looks all right.
See, I wouldn't switch that third one and the
this one's awful.
And
I hate those ones. Those are both those three in the bottom. Bad. The one that's under meh, that's on the left. What the fuck? What is that?
This one's 5, or I think it's 6. Yeah, when the mask is I think I saw Davis on Twitter. He was like, "Why is the mask in 5 an Audi? Like, why has he got it?
So bad.
Why has he not got it tucked in that one?" And then this is CGI. What is this one? Is this from?
I don't have no idea.
Yeah, that's H2, and it looks like that because he has the biggest fucking beard ever in that movie. So the mask just never fits right because his beard is literally like out to here.
Yeah, in the sequel, he kind of conveniently looks like Rob Zombie. That feels like a choice too.
Yeah, I thought it was Rob Zombie for the longest time. I really did.
This is the worst time for Shug to join because he's absolutely terrified of Michael Myers and his mask, and I've got like 10 versions on this screen right now. But like, come on, even Shug, you couldn't look at this fella right here and feel anything about it. He's really goofy. Galaxy Geeks in the chat, what's going on, guys? Thanks for watching. I also really enjoyed 2018 Halloween, and we'll talk about that one next week, and we'll talk about Halloween Kills pretty soon too, which spoilers, I enjoyed a lot as well. Yeah, I like the mask in this one. That's how I got on this tangent.
No, it is good. I agree.
Especially when you look at some of its peers and what other attempts produced in the past.
That makes it look even better. When it's side by side, it looks like artwork next to those other ones.
Yeah. Another one I want to talk about is this fucking guy, Grizzly. You know who I'm talking about? This dude in like the truck stop.
Oh, Kenan Thompson's dad.
That's Kenan Thompson's dad?
I was like, why does this guy kind of
that is
familiar?
Kenan Thompson's dad.
God. Oh my god.
That dude rules.
Yeah. He's like, I'm pinching one out. Fuck off.
Yeah, I really liked the Grizzly. He gets killed while taking a shit.
I don't know if it was if it shows it in the I watched the unrated version.
Okay. I don't think
when he's looking at the dirty magazine, I was very shocked that they show butthole in the magazine.
See that in the one I watched.
All right, then it's the unrated version. I was like, oh, that's a butthole.
I definitely think I missed that, which I'm sorry to say.
It was the unrated version then. Yeah, I was very shocked. I was like, oh.
That's a booty hole.
Not a lot of movies showing hole. It's got to be said.
No.
But if anybody was going to have the artistic vision for it,
it would be Rob Zombie.
Robert Zombert.
For you, Lucy, a Rob Zombie poster.
Grizzly rules. And also, why people always trying to transfer Michael Myers? Like, just leave him in his room. Like all these movies, they're like, we gotta get him out of this place, put him in a different place
during a storm. Like,
well, I mean, this one you just had 2 rednecks kind of let him out, which is a very shocking scene. Not very fun to watch.
Yeah. They're always trying to take that fucker somewhere. Hey, we got a friend.
Oh, wow.
Goblins, put your hands together. She's joined us. Ashlinaa.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
How you doing, my friend?
Not perceived.
Oh my gosh, exhausted but happy at the same time. I'm at Universal for Halloween Horror Nights and just for the parks in general, and I'm just exhausted. But I'm here and I'm ready. What are we talking about? Tell me all the things that we're talking about.
We were just
Hi,
talking
Kayla.
We're just talking about how you could see a butthole in the unrated version.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
According to Connor, I didn't see this, but this.
Okay, I was like, I don't remember that.
I watched the unrated version, and there's a very clear butthole.
Oh,
Very clear butthole.
Okay.
Very.
Okay. Interesting.
It's like one of those early version of Cats. It's very clearly butthole in this movie.
That's true. It goes Rob Zombie's Halloween, walk, so cats could run. You're right.
Oh my gosh.
And they didn't have the courage. They
Right.
they always lack the courage just to leave the butthole in.
Right.
Not to sidetrack too much, but how is what is it? Halloween Horror
Nights. Yeah.
How is that? Is that the best? I've never been.
I really want to go.
Okay, so this year their main houses are the Haunting of Hill House, Beetlejuice, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, what a mix!
How was Hill House?
So, oh my God, it literally felt like you were in the actual house. It was very it was very immersive. It was like stunning. It was so beautiful, and like they did such a good job. They literally did such a good job. Beetlejuice was so much fun. I mean, how they made that scary, because I'm a little bitch and I screamed the whole time. But you know how they made that scary was so interesting. And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, come on, like iconic. You know, it was blood, chainsaws everywhere, you know. But Halloween Horror Nights, like if you have the money and you have the time to kind of just like stand in lines, like it's absolutely fantastic. I would 100% recommend it. Their scare zones and like all of their SFX makeup and all of the work that they do, it's incredible. It really is. They do such a good job. So yeah, those were the houses that I did. I didn't really want to do any other ones. I wanted to do the main ones that were like being featured. And it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I try to do it every year, but of course, like the pandemic happened, so I couldn't go for the past 2 years. But I turned 30 this year, and Halloween Horror Nights turned 30, and I was like, I have to go. I
didn't realize that.
Yeah. So that's why this is such a last minute trip, because like, you know, so I apologize about me being late, but I had to. I just had to. I had to do
You got
it.
Really understand.
I remember, like the last time I went to that was when I was a kid, because I haven't been to Universal since I was like high school or middle school. But like, I just remember what stuck out about Horror Nights was they had a girl being carried around in a glass coffin, and there was just live rats crawling at her. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
They go all out. They go all out. They go
I gotta
all
say,
out.
I'm surprised they didn't do a Halloween house with the new one
I
out.
said that at the exact same time. That was crazy. Yeah, I definitely want to go. It's definitely
it's worth it.
Something I've started to do for like the first time in my life. Jess and I were like traveling actively, so maybe next year we can get that on the list. Kayla just dipped. She's straight out.
She said she has to go grab water.
Okay, she hard left. So
yeah,
I hope like her computer to get unplugged. Well, in the meantime, Ashley,
ask me a question. Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming on.
Of
that
course.
You could join us at all is awesome. So very happy to have you on.
Yay, good.
You know, obviously we've been talking about it for a little bit here, and not to rewind it too much, but tell me your thoughts on this movie, just like baseline. What do you think of Rob Zombie's Halloween? Because Kayla hates it.
Okay, so Rob Zombie obviously is like its own cult following, you know, kind of thing. I personally, I feel like Rob Zombie is very much like redneck horror, like redneck trailer trash horror. That might sound bad, but that's like that's the feel that I get for it. And it's always been really hard for me to watch. Like I tried so hard to like, you know, what was it called? When Corpses, House of whatever that one was called.
1,000 Corpses.
Yes, thank you. I knew there was 1,000 in it. Yeah, that, which, you know, I should have. That's another cult classic, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. But I didn't mind his Halloween. I really didn't. I mean, obviously, you all know that my favorite horror movie is Halloween 1978, the classic, you know. But I didn't mind it at all. I feel like so from like Halloween 1978 to, you know, Rob Zombie's Halloween, I feel like for him to just kill his sister in the 1978 version, like that was a little bit like, okay, yeah, like he could be a psycho, but like in Rob Zombies, he kills his whole family, and the way that he does it, that more gave the picture of him being like asylum worthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't mind it. I just knew that if Rob was gonna do it and he took it the way that he takes his movies, I was gonna freaking hate it. Because like I said, I can't do that.
Well, this is his most tame movie.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's saying a lot because it's still
Right.
fucking insane. But
Right,
it's his
right.
tamest movie by far because
Right.
every movie is just like Devil's Rejects. I
Right.
watched the least amount
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
all of his movies.
Yeah.
Because it's just if you think this one's like sweaty redneck horror, like
Right.
Devil's Rejects is like you have to shower immediately
Right.
after
Right.
watching it. It's
Like
so just like gross and sweaty and like
yes.
I like his
Yes.
movies, but god damn, that movie is rough.
Yeah. So Kayla, why didn't you like it? No, well, I want to know what have I missed?
Yeah, we've been examining
So-
this all night.
Well, so
Yeah, besides
far,
Bubble.
the reasons I've given so far are that the kills so far, the kills to me
So
weren't
far.
very like suspenseful or interesting. Like
Okay.
they were just kind of like basic, and so I was like, eh.
Right.
And then his reasoning for killing, I didn't like that. So like he didn't kill his mom and he didn't kill his baby sister, but he killed like everyone else. And then, you know, you'd think, okay, so his baby sister he loved, his mom was good to him, so he didn't kill her. But then like the janitor at the facility who was super nice to him, he got a brutal death. And like so when that happened, I was
Right.
like, okay, there doesn't seem to be any real reasoning to who he kills and who he doesn't kill.
Right.
And then I just wasn't feeling that suspense or being like, I wasn't scared anymore because I didn't feel
Right.
suspense or like, what's he gonna do, you know?
Right.
So yeah, and the kills just were very just like slash done.
Right. Which
Through
is
my
very
eyes.
Rob Zombie. Very
Yeah.
Rob Zombie.
Well, I thought he took a lot of time with his sister.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Aside
Yeah.
from that one, because she was trying to go and like get help. Besides that one, I really just felt like the rest were just like, you know.
Yeah. You came in when I kind of said it there towards the end, but with Rob Zombie's, like, I felt like those kills and everything that he did to his family, that was like asylum worthy. You know what I mean? Like that was,
Oh yeah.
you know, I think that's the difference between, you know, your classic Halloween 1978 to this.
And I haven't
one.
seen that one. I don't think. If I've seen it, I saw it when I was so young that I don't remember. So I
Right.
don't think
Yeah.
I have.
You need to watch it now
So,
then. You need to watch
yeah.
it now then. Because
I've seen
like,
ones with Jamie Lee, but I don't know which ones. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right. And
I don't know.
they all break off into different you know,
Yes.
lore stories and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of them. But I was honestly pleasantly surprised. You know, for 1978 being my favorite, I was pleasantly surprised because I don't know if you all got a chance to watch it or anything like that. But AMC just had Fear Fest for
Mhm.
Halloween Kills, and they had the entire series playing through. So I actually got to watch Rob Zombies again, and you know, all of the other ones again too. And I was pleasantly surprised. I really was. It was his most tame, just like what Connor said. It was his most tame, you know, movie. Thank God, because if he would have ruined that, I would have been so pissed. But I'll tell you some things that I didn't like. I didn't like his doctor. Dr. Loomis didn't feel like Dr. Loomis.
Yeah, Dr. Loomis is creepy as shit in this one.
Yeah, no, I did not like him at all. I just felt like he didn't fit the part, like, at all. And like,
I think he did well in the part. It was just so different than what we knew of Dr. Loomis.
That's probably
Especially
what it is.
In H2, he takes like a 180 and he's just an absolute piece of shit in that
right,
movie.
right.
See, that's the
because-
thing. I love.
I love it too. I
do
love
too.
to hate him in that movie.
Yeah, no, I do
because
too.
it is such a. Because again, we were talking like it's like if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna redo Halloween,
Just do
gotta-
it different.
do it different. Like justify
Right.
doing it by finding a take. And like Loomis is like a guy who's just trying to sell his book everywhere
Yeah.
he goes.
Right.
It's so different than
He's like, how
crazy
can I
Donald
sell this
Pleasance.
new book? Let me like just
Right.
put in this
Right.
information that nobody knows and put lives at danger.
Right. And like, how can I take what Michael has done and get famous off of it?
Yeah.
Like, that's all he was worried
Yeah.
about. Like, he didn't give a shit about Michael at that point, and like,
Yeah.
you know, Michael's well-being, which, I mean, at that point, what is well-being anymore, you know? But yeah, no, Dr. Loomis just felt weird, but I'm used to a different Dr. Loomis. I get it, you know? I think my favorite element and what's helped me with Halloween Kills, because I just watched Halloween Kills, I think what's helped me understand that kind of, you know, story and the main plot line is like, in Rob Zombies, he made the masks out of the paper that he got at the asylum. And like, that really gave a really good, that really gave a cool look into Michael liking to cover his face while he's doing these bad things because he can't face himself, kind of thing, you know? And like, obviously I don't want to spoil Halloween Kills, but they talk about that, you know?
Right.
And so I really liked that element that Rob added of just like him making the masks and like wanting to hide his face because he thinks he's ugly. And like, okay, well, what does ugly mean to him? And I think he's talking about his soul. He has an ugly soul, you know? So, and there, you know, all the conspiracy theories
definitely, because
about
when he's, you know, kind of descending into more madness, and he's with Loomis and his mom. His mom hands him the picture of her and his baby sister, and then the nurse comes in and is like, "Cute baby can't be related to you," and then like kills her. And then the mom comes in and takes off the mask, and he just loses it. You buy his like psychological reasoning for wearing the mask.
Absolutely.
And like disassociation between the mask and the real Michael.
Exactly. Because, you know, when he takes off the mask and he's holding his baby sister on the front steps, like he looks like a normal just kid holding his baby sister, and he's smiling and he's like, you know, but I think once he's able to cover who he is and cover that part of him and disassociate, he beat the shit out of that guy in the woods with that branch. I remember watching that part and being like, Jesus, like, holy, you know, like, wow, you know, that really gives a face to how he feels, you know? And I'm wondering, sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, like, it really sets the tone of Michael, and then, you know, Michael Myers, the killer, and it's the mask.
Right.
Whenever he kills someone, he's wearing a mask.
Exactly.
He never
gets to
kills
cover
anybody
himself
without the mask on.
Right.
Which is really interesting, and I like that.
Yeah.
And when he doesn't have the mask on, you buy that he's a human.
Right.
So it separates Michael the human and Michael the killer.
Right.
And I it's a sentiment we've already spoken about. If they settled on, if Rob Zombie like kind of went more towards that, and if, you know, the fucking Weinsteins, let him do that, which I think he wanted. By all like accounts, he wanted to do more psychological, going back into his childhood and his teenage years. I feel like that would have made for an even more interesting movie.
Right.
And he got to do what he wanted in H2, and it's definitely far more interesting. It's more psychological.
Right.
And I just wish he had that freedom to do that in this one, because I feel like the first half in his childhood and in the hospital, by far the most interesting part of the movie.
Absolutely. Like what happens, you know, and like, well, you know, let's talk about mental health too, because that it sheds a lot of light on that. Like when we're not feeling our best, but you know, we try to hide those pieces of us. What do? We wear a mask, you know? So I think it really gave a nice shout out to that, you know? And like I said, they do a really good job with that in Halloween Kills too. And like, I'm not going to spoil it, but you know,
I love Halloween Kills, and
Halloween Kills was so good.
And that whole part that everybody is like griping on, and the part that we're talking about, I'm sure I loved it. I loved that story beat for it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fantastic, and a lot of people hated it. And
no, I loved it so much. Loved it so much. So I feel like Rob did a really good job of showing how Michael, at one point, before I think he just went pure evil, separated himself as a human and Michael Myers, so that's my thoughts on it. I liked it. I didn't mind it, but if he would have messed it up, I would have been pissed because, that's my favorite movie. So, but I didn't mind it. I really didn't.
I think I would always much rather see, even if it doesn't quite land, I would always much rather see somebody with a vision and a take on the thing,
Right.
just like
That's
swing
true.
for the fences and do it.
That's
like,
true.
I feel like as they're going to bring all these things back, right? Like they've
Right.
finally figured out the, whole legal issues on Friday the 13th. So like, I would say give it a few years. That's going to come back out. They'll try Elm Street again. They'll do all these things again for the rest of our lives. But in doing it, like, Dimension Elm Street, which is like a beat for beat remake of the Craven movie. And it was like, that was a stupid idea. You're never going to do the same thing better.
I know.
So take the thing, take Michael Myers or the Freddy mythos or whatever, and give it to somebody who's got a take and a vision on it.
Right.
Just let him fucking give them, a couple $1,000,000, right? Give them $10 million and just let them run wild with it and see what they can do with it.
Well, isn't that what horror is? I mean, that's what horror is. I mean, it's our deepest, darkest, weirdest, most extreme thoughts put into a movie, our fears, like, how can we tell a story but make it scary in a way that people will still understand it, and I don't know. I keep going back to Halloween Kills because I really do feel like watching Rob's 2007 and then watching because that's how I watched it, was like that. It was great. I thought it was really good. It gave, and like, I don't know, it kind of gave me like some empathy for Michael in a way too. Which was weird because you would never do that in any other movie because he's a freaking psycho killer.
You have no choice to be like, okay, I can understand that you have someone that's on the verge of, insanity, and he's pushed to it by the environment he's in. Like, he was in the worst environment, nonstop, just getting, just
beat down,
physically, like
I will say
that's like, on the verge of that, and he's pushed to it, so you buy it and you feel bad for him. You can see he has some humanity and love in him, and like, he's on the verge of losing that, and everybody around him is him to lose it, so like, you have that sympathy, which I thought was a cool take on it.
And I mean, let's talk about all of the serial killer podcasts that we've listened to and all of the serial killer books we've read and all this other stuff, like how they talk about when a kid is raised like this. And then, of course, like, he kills the hamster or whatever that was. The rat. Like, oh, they kill animals. They, do all this other stuff. Like, that's how they become serial killers. Like, I at first I hated it because I was like, we can't like give into this stigma that like all kids who are like this will grow up to be freaking Michael Myers, but at the same time, like, I liked how they kind of played into that. So it felt familiar for anyone who was new watching it. Like, oh yeah, this is total, like, I've heard this on a true crime podcast or something, So I don't know if that makes sense.
I like how it wasn't like split completely in half. You see like his innocence, and then you see him like as an adult killing people. You see his like whole entire trajectory. So you buy that there is no saving him. So you have no choice but to be like, okay, he's a monster. Like, he needs to die. Because you're like, I feel like I would feel really shitty if I was like, okay, I can see how he's a human, and then I don't see like the in between, and I'm like, well, he's a good person. Like, why is everybody like, why is Loomis like, and the cops trying to kill him? Like, I feel really shitty like looking at that way, but I like the like descent into madness.
So absolutely.
On that.
It's kind of prescient of where we were going, just in, like, in big franchise movies where it's like, not to draw a connection where there isn't one, but when like you look at how big like superhero movies are, right? And it's it becomes all about the origin story. You want to go back to the beginning and lay it all out for me so I can understand who this guy is.
How did this happen?
put it in a horror lens, and then like let me pick up all the pieces and put them together in a way where you go, oh, okay, I can understand how this guy turned out like that. Which again, not a thing in the original. The idea is you can't project on him. You don't get him. He's an animal. He's not a person anymore.
He's evil on 2 feet or whatever he says. Yeah. Evil walking, whatever he says. Yeah. Literally.
Big weird risk that I think I think again we were talking about, a lot of horror fans are kind of stuck in their ways, I think sometimes. And don't change anything, it's never going to be as good as it was. I think that's probably where a lot of the pushback on this comes from. And I'm like, in a world where there's fucking 20 Halloween movies and a lot of them aren't very good and make very silly decisions. I'm like, again, it's not exactly the same, but it shouldn't be exactly the same,
But it's also
fair, all of the things that I don't like about it aren't comparing to any other Halloween movies.
That's true.
I'm taking this as just its own movie.
Right. No, absolutely. And like, I agree with that. You have to take these as their own anyway, but I think also how can we get these younger generations into these movies? And I think it's like we got to shed that light on the mental health aspect of it. We've got to kind of shed more light on those origin stories, or else we're going to lose the next generation to horror. They're not going to understand it. They're not going to be like us and just live for the thrill, live for the kill. Like they're going to want something. They're going to be like, this doesn't make any sense, so I think that's what Rob was trying to do too, bring a new generation of people into horror. But I mean, just nothing beats the original. I mean, let's be serious. It's just the mood of it is just so beautiful to me, the cinematography, everything. But I didn't mind it. I didn't. I mean, I wish there was more blue lighting, like in the original, and the Panaglide camera and all that stuff was, I wish, but at the same time, we got to bring these kids, I say kids, but like these next, generations into it. So how can we do that?
Right. I like the cinematography in this, and I like his filmmaking style. I like the shaky cam, especially like when like Michael is near. I've noticed like the camera gets shaky, like when he's about to kill, and I loved it. Yeah. Like I love that stylistic choice that he does. Yeah. Because even though like, Rob Zombie's movies look really sweaty and gross, he does some very interesting things with the camera. And I think he has like a really interesting like stylistic choice when it comes to his movies.
I can agree with that for sure.
He's gonna do what he's interested in, right? Like you don't hire a guy like that to do anything by committee, which is why I can understand why he had a really troubling time making this and trying to find the balance between making a Rob Zombie movie, but also making a studio franchise film at the same time and having expectations when you're doing so and push back on things that you find interesting. With what the conversation we're having, I'd love to talk about, the back half, as we mentioned, it becomes very traditionally Halloween. It's Laurie and her friends walking around town. They recreate a lot of shots. They recreate a lot of kills.
I do want to talk about Steven Dorff is amazing in this movie.
Brad Dorff.
Brad Dorff.
Brad Dorff as Cypher. as Brackett. That's horror movie royalty right there. Obviously, known as the voice of Chucky through every single Chucky movie, gets to play Sheriff Brackett.
Say, if you're talking about Chucky, real quick, this has been on my mind the entire episode. My mind the whole time. I'm like, I wanted to talk about the remake, the newest remake of Chucky. But I was like, where does that fit into this? And you just said it, so now I'm just going to go.
Because it's a remake. It's a remake. Right. Go for it.
So, like, the one that they remade where it has that girl as the mom, and she's, like, a younger actress.
Aubrey Plaza.
Yes. Okay, that's the remake I'm talking about. The reason I liked that remake was because it was modernized to make Chucky like, oh, he's like a smart toy and this is how that could go wrong. And I liked that because I'm like, they're remaking it and they're giving it a new thing for us to be scared of.
Right. Like our cell phone. Our cell phone or something. Right.
I do like the remake. I thought it was pretty good.
I liked
it. But it was essentially Small Soldiers.
Oh, right.
It was a Small Soldiers remake more than a Chucky remake. Just going to throw that out there. But the new series is actually really
loved
good.
it.
and
I
I'm
loved
really
it.
enjoying it. The first
Me
2
too.
episodes you can
Yeah.
watch for free uncut on YouTube.
Yeah. Yep.
Fantastic.
Oh, they're on
series.
YouTube?
Yeah.
And it's in original continuity with
Yes.
the original run of movies.
Yep.
Including Cult and Curse.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I love the new series, but yeah.
It's so good.
I'll watch
I
it
was
for sure.
It's
impressed.
a lot of fun. I didn't
Yeah.
expect to laugh and actually be like freaked out.
Right.
I'm laughing in one scene and then like totally freaked out in one scene.
I was impressed. I was
Chucky
like,
the series, fantastic.
yeah. Well, Chucky isn't my favorite. I'll just go ahead and say it. It's just not my thing. I like him, but he's just not my thing. It's fine. But I love the TV series. I was like super impressed. I was like, wait a second, do I like Chucky now? Like, this is good, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Chucky surprisingly is like the outlier in these horror franchises where like
I think so too.
He stuck to one continuity the whole like save for the remake, the most recent one a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But like they never did one of those weird things where like, well, this one's a sequel, but this one's not canon. It's like even when they went direct to video, they were like, nah, you got to keep up. If you're a Chucky fan, you got to watch all these fucking movies. He's got a wife.
True.
He's got a kid, right?
Yes.
Like, there's
Which
10
they
of them
talk about in the series. They talk about Seed of Chucky in the series. And I was like, fuck
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, oh my God.
I don't go out of my way for Chucky. I'm like, that's definitely also not one of my favorite series. But when I saw the remake, I was like, this is scary.
I'm like, Chucky.
Yeah.
I think
Really?
Ghostface and Chucky, like slasher wise, Ghostface and Chucky are my two like.
Well, yeah, I see your hoodie there, and I freaking love it, and I want it.
It's a very good hoodie.
Yeah,
your guys.
Yeah.
The big deviation I want to kind of talk about in the back half of this, because like I was saying before, it becomes very traditional, which is kind of where I tune out. Like when they recreate the Bob kill with the ghost sheet and the glasses, I was like, you didn't need to do it again. Like it rules in the first one, but again, that was probably a studio note. Like put that in, everybody will see it and they'll know what it is.
Oh no.
You know, I'm surprised Annie survives this, which is very different from the first one.
Yeah,
that pays off really well in the sequel to it. But the big deviation I think is interesting, and it plays more into Michael's psyche, is that it seems his goal, at least for a while, is not to kill Laurie, but to just like get her. Like
he just wanted to live in his house with Laurie. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting take.
Like a toy, like almost like an object.
Yeah,
I don't think he wanted to kill her at all. Like until she tried to kill him. But I don't think
even
he was
then.
going
I don't
to.
think he wanted to kill her. He was
maybe
just
capture
trying to
her.
Like he just wanted to kidnap her.
Like keep her in his pocket kind of thing. That's what it felt like an object of his fascination, like
remove her from this cursed earth so she can go be with him.
But also like, I'm wondering if like that was a play on like, he can be unmasked with her. Like, I don't know.
I think so because it's the last remnants of his like innocence.
Right.
If you think about it, that was like the last moment he was little Mikey Myers, like that little Mikey. That was the last time he was Mikey.
It's
when he was with her as a baby.
And it's such an interesting move that like after all the chaos and the carnage of this movie to like land on a quiet beat and be like, well, maybe there's actually you could still maybe redeem this guy somehow. Like you could fix him if you were so inclined.
Right.
Like he presents like himself to Laurie with that opportunity, which she never learns in this movie that she's a sister, never gets that information. So like never has no idea what the picture is. He takes the mask off. Like it's just completely lost on her. And she's, scared for her life, obviously.
Right.
So, she just sees her opening to escape. But like, I just thought that was so, again, there's none of that in the original. There's none of that characterization. It's just death, kill, stab, murder, everything.
Let's get that body count. That's what it was. That's what slashers, that's why I love them, because it's like business taking care of business. How many people can I kill in this movie before it's over? I don't know. But
and to be sure, he kills a lot more in this one than he does in 1978.
Right. But also, I keep talking about it, but like, I mean, think about Halloween Kills. I mean, I feel like these two go together really well in respects of kills and blood and his vengeance that you can feel,
Oh yeah.
So Kayla, you gotta watch it. I'm so excited.
I know. I'm excited to watch it.
It's so freaking good. I was like,
We talk about cinematography. I thought the cinematography in Kills was insane.
Stunning. Oh my god! Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want
There's
to
one
spoil
scene in
anything,
that
but I was
movie
like,
that we'll talk about on the episode, but I was
yeah.
like blown away. I was like,
know.
this is some of the most interesting imagery I've
Beautiful,
seen in a
yes.
slasher movie.
Yeah.
Like, what is it called? We made up a word in my Twitch community. I think we called it scaroused. Like, you're scared, but you're like aroused. Scaroused. I was like scaroused watching Halloween Kills. It was so good. But anyway, I keep talking about it, but I feel like watching Rob's and then watching this one, it went okay. You know, like it went pretty well. So
yeah, I think
yeah.
Rob Zombie, he gets like what a modern take on the violence and the kills, what that's going to have to be to captivate a modern audience in a way that does definitely carry over into the
and
David
I think he does a good job at showing how it affects other people, like how they're affected by his violence really well too.
Yeah.
Especially the last shot where Laurie, just shoots Michael in the face.
Yo, we gotta talk about the very last.
I thought that was really good because you see her finally breaking and
how
his violence affected her, and we know as the audience she's shares blood with Michael.
Yeah.
So you see how violent she gets, and you're like, oh shit. And then the movie ends.
When it dips to black with just middle of her screaming, I went, holy shit, what an ending.
And I remember watching that the first time. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's all you can really say. Like, I was, because again, we were talking, I was like having a hard time seeing her as Laurie. And at the end, I was like,
right.
I was like, well, she ain't Jamie Lee and no one is, but wow, this girl can scream. She's got pipes on her.
And that's probably why they freaking booked her, because like it was chilling. It was very chilling. It was like, that is a final horror girl scream.
Yeah, I love that final scene. It's so just insane.
She can.
Yeah, she didn't stop screaming for like the last 20 minutes. I mean, honestly.
She perfectly instilled the terror one would feel when like an 8-foot tall behemoth man comes crashing through your wall and kills all your friends. Like, like she's a different kind of Laurie, but I totally buy her performance as being scared for her life.
Right.
So it was very chilling to watch. And yes, I love the fake out too, because they did the whole thing with her and Loomis in the car. Like, is that the boogeyman?
When she said that was such a good part. I didn't like almost most of the movie, but when she said, was that the boogeyman? I was like, this is so good. I just liked the way she said it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I knew he was going to grab her out that window. I knew the second she said that.
Well, I love that because the final lines of the original. So you think, the movie's over.
Yeah.
And then nope, he grabs her and pulls her out. It's like, nope. We got
so good, right? Which is another callback to the original where he's trying to get the nurse, nurse, whatever her name is, I can't remember.
Right, the hand on the window.
Yeah, right. That whole scene, which I think is great. All of those little callbacks, but I didn't mind it. I really didn't. I was surprised that I didn't mind it, to be honest, because I hated House of 1000, whatever the freak that movie was called. I was like, I hate this. I literally hate this. I want to brush my teeth, wash my hair, and like literally take a shower. What Connor said. I was like, I don't like it.
Yeah. He's got his thing. No, he's got his thing, and it is decisively not for everyone. Like,
right. I will say. So here at Halloween Horror Nights, he has his own section. He has like his own little.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like they have like dancers, and they're wearing like all this like weird shit, whatever. But I like walking through that scare zone. It definitely has a certain aesthetic, and you can tell who the fans are while they're walking through there, but I don't mind it. It's different. It really is.
What's the smell like?
I mean, I guess it depends on where you are. It's either throw up, alcohol, or just pure fear. Pure fear. Right. No, literally. But yeah, so I like the Rob Zombie sections that they have here at Halloween Horror Nights, but I don't know. Like, even Texas Chainsaw is like, even though it's a slasher, it's like right there for me where I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, like this. I don't know, but I liked it. I didn't mind it. That's my verdict.
Yeah, I was surprised to kind of give closing thoughts here, I was surprised coming into this because it was these movies are the only Halloween movies I hadn't seen, coming into this month. I just always missed the boat on this.
Yeah.
And the bar had been set. Just I think I kind of counted them out too, because people always said like, "Oh man, he came in and he fucked it up. It was terrible. It wasn't Halloween at all." So I always kind of, I guess, took that to maybe be true and just didn't really give it the time of day.
Right.
And I regret that it took me this long to watch it, because I surprisingly. I enjoyed the parts that are most indulgent, that are most Rob Zombie, and the parts that aren't so much is where I tuned out. And then actually, we were mentioning earlier, I watched the second one, which I liked even more than this, because it's so crazy.
Yeah, it's like buck wild. Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Doing shit with the mythos that they'd never done before.
Right.
I dig this movie. I didn't know what to expect. I was like, oh, did I make a mistake in saying we should do this one for an episode? No, I dig it. And I think it's worth talking about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No, Taylor, when you texted me and you were like, I don't know if I'm tripping, but I really loved this one and I loved his sequel even more, I was smiling so much. So I've been on board that whole entire time. Like, since this movie came out, I've been so on board with his takes on Halloween and Michael.
I liked it.
I just love Rob Zombie as a filmmaker. I like to say he was doing A24 horror before A24 was a thing. If his movies came out today, like as they were, like I feel like they would be, they would be decisive, but they would be more widely accepted. Like the parts that people are like, the group that is accepting of his movies would be larger.
Right.
I think he's fantastic. And I love his take on Halloween.
I would say oh no, I don't want this to cause an argument, but I would say he nailed the Saw series before the Saw series was cool. I don't know about Studio A24, but I'll say he nailed the Saw series.
H2 is very A24 horror. And
You're right.
Always Lords of Salem is very A24.
Which I've heard is good. I haven't seen
it's
it.
Fantastic. Like he was doing A24 before A24 was a thing.
Okay, then I'll be quiet until I see those. I'll be quiet. But I'm just saying
I'm gonna have to watch too to make my
right. I know, because
I don't trust this.
I literally looked at Kayla and I was like, because Kayla and I talk about Studio A24 and those, Ari Aster and those movies.
Lords of Salem is the Vavitch.
Okay.
In modern times.
All right, we gotta watch it, Kayla.
I don't know how on board I am with that take, but it is definitely a take.
Lords of Salem is an A24 movie outside of A24, and I think Lords of Salem is his best movie.
All right, we're watching it. I have to now.
Movie.
Yeah, no, definitely check it out. And I don't mean that as a slight against.
Oh no, I'm not trying to start a fight.
As a slight.
No.
Oh wait, shit! The mom from Halloween is in this movie.
Yes.
Right? That's same actress. Okay.
Yeah.
Gary Moon is in every single one of his movies.
Yeah. Like that is his actress of choice. Yeah.
Got it.
Which if you didn't notice by her last name being Zombie,
that's his wife.
It's his wife.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't even look at her name.
I love that.
I love them.
His wife in such a prominent role in every single one of his movies.
I love that. I love it too. I love it too. I do. I like it too.
And everybody likes to talk shit about talk shit about him for that, but it's like nobody talks shit about Martin Scorsese for putting Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio
his wife,
his
wife Robert De Niro.
Like why? Like who cares? Like he's putting his wife in his movies. He likes working with her.
Let's talk about Mike. Is it Flanagan that puts all of the same actors?
Yeah, he puts his wife in every single one.
In every single too. I think it's freaking badass. It shows that you're a power couple and you know how to do some cool shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
imagine that you are married and you love your wife so much that you want to cast her in movies, which and
put her in roles that are like completely probably the opposite of her.
Mm-hmm. You're like I can creatively work with my partner, which like making a movie inherently super stressful and difficult, and like you're like I want to have my partner there and like it's so cool that they can collaborate in that way. Like
and they're like
I think it's awesome.
They're like super cute. Like I really like them together.
And I could get the critique if she was like a shitty actress and took me out of it.
Right.
Like,
She's not that bad.
Yeah.
She's not that bad.
No,
Her as Michael's mom like broke my heart. Like
yeah,
when
she's breaking down,
when he kills the nurse. Videos. Yeah, that too. That I just realized the part that happens after that. Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, she's a good actress.
She's great. She was great.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of that is probably being comfortable with the director who is your husband. Like, you think that could be a very contentious, like being directed by your husband, right? That like he's telling you like, oh, you didn't nail that line or something. You could see where that could be, that could be difficult. But they apparently not.
They obviously have a way to communicate where they can talk and get the best out of each other, which is just amazing, and I respect that.
I think they're great. Like. Hashtag goals. Am I right?
Absolutely.
You are right.
Big goals. Kayla, before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your closing thoughts on Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Closing thoughts. I'm going to be very honest. By the end of the movie, like I did like I said, a couple of the final scenes, but I was pretty checked out. I was pretty like, I was just kind of watching like,
did it feel
I don't know.
Did it feel too slow for you? Did it feel too
No, it was actually
monotonous?
I mean, it was quick. It felt quick. The movie did feel fast because I mean, I didn't expect almost the whole half to be him as a kid. So I was like, okay. So the movie did fly by. It was just like after a certain point, it didn't feel suspenseful. I wasn't scared, and I like to be like. I watch horror movies to be terrified, and I felt zero fear. I was just like. Oh, there's another cutthroat. Like, oh, there's another, and I just kind of got bored. I was getting bored of the kills, and I don't know. Like, I didn't hate it, but I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering because I obviously missed that part of the discussion.
I think Rob Zombie's movies, like, you never want to watch again, but it's those movies that you watch more and they grow on you.
I'll definitely give his other stuff
House
a chance.
of a Thousand Corpses. I hated Devil's Rejects. I hated Three from Hell, Lords of Salem. I did not like those, but I watched them more, and I really like all of those movies even more now. And surprisingly, the only two that I was on board from the jump for his movies were his Halloween movies, Halloween and H2. I was on board right away.
Right.
But his other movies, because I was so on board with these, I would revisit.
Yeah.
And I liked them more with each rewatch.
Yeah.
As painful as they were to revisit, because there's such a trip, like they just grew on me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Ash, what I was saying too before, I didn't mention this, I don't think, after you got here, but like another thing that maybe almost immediately turned me off to the movie was how raunchy like the children were. And the nudity, because I watching it now as a 30-year-old woman, I'm like, these are children. This is so uncomfortable. And like, I just kind of hated it because it was just extra over the top raunchy.
Right.
And so that kind of like, I was like, ew. And then the rest of the movie from there, I think it just started to go downhill for me.
Yeah. It just made you uncomfortable. Right.
Yeah.
You're right. Right. Yeah. Which, I mean, sets the tone, honestly, for that type of movie, Okay. Good to know. I was very curious. I was curious what it was for you.
That might have started my, I don't know if I'm going to be into this.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah, makes you want to be sprayed with a hose after it ends.
Well, because if you talk, because that's what we said earlier is that the kids were like in this movie they looked like kids and they seemed like the appropriate age of what they were supposed to be. So I was looking at them as actual children. Unlike when I watch a movie like Scream, I'm like, these are all 20-year-olds playing high schoolers, and it's very clear. And like, it was more like, okay, these are little babies and I don't want to watch them get killed while they're naked. It was just
honestly
that did it for me.
Before we call it a night, can I tell you guys about the time that I once had established beef with Rob Zombie?
Established?
No way. Why would you ever have beef with Rob Zombie? I need to hear about this.
I'm confused.
A tweet?
Gather around. No, it's not. It's completely unfounded. You'll see.
Oh my gosh.
Gather around. Once upon a time, many years ago, I was in a straight edge hardcore band called Scum of the Earth, which goes to tell you how long it wasn't. It was in fact a really long time ago.
Scum of the
It
Earth.
wasn't Beat
How am I
Kids.
not known of this?
That was straight edge. And you know what? I think we were pretty good for what we were. Music might be out there somewhere, still on Bandcamp or something.
I'm looking it up.
I was having a good time. And it maybe you may not be able to find it under that title, and that'll become clear at the end of the story. So we were called Scum of the Earth. We were just doing our thing, playing shows in Cleveland, writing songs about being straight edge, as one does. Playing shows, getting some momentum for ourselves. We're having a ball. And then one day we get a message on Facebook from another band called Scum of the Earth.
Oh.
And they were like, hey guys, what's up? We found your page. We found your page, and you like have the same name as us, which we think like could be. They said we think this could be like confusing for like our fans. Like if you guys play a show and you promoted a Scum of the Earth being there, they're gonna show up thinking it's us, and like that wouldn't be very good for anybody, would it? So maybe you guys should consider changing your name. And so we were like, naturally, go fuck yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But then
right.
I looked into what the band is, and this is why it's unfounded, is because they are a Rob Zombie side project, and that Rob Zombie's not in the band. But while he was making this movie, he said, I'm not going to focus on music. I'm not going to write music. I'm not going to tour. So like the members of his band break off and start a new band called Scum of the Earth.
Oh.
So we go, oh my God, this is a Rob Zombie side project.
What the hell?
So we just tell people we just tell people Rob Zombie messages because it's way funnier. So we say we're not going to change the name. And so then they come back with like not quite a cease and desist, but like a cease or yet a cease and desist. They're like, oh, we had this name for years, and if you don't change it, there's going to be problems.
Right.
And
right.
so we changed our name to Scum de la Earth.
What
So
the
if you're looking
hell?
for-
I thought it couldn't get any worse.
So if you're looking for our EP,
De-la.
if you're looking for our EP out there on the
Oh,
internet,
God.
you'll only be able to find it under Scum de la Earth. I don't know if it's still out there.
What the hell?
But again, we conflate that to Rob Zombie's told us we had to change our name or he would
Right.
sue us. And we had
Right.
started
Sounds real.
we had started a fuck Rob Zombie chant at Now It's Class on
Oh
one of our
my
shows.
God.
And which was completely unfounded because he had nothing to do with it. It was his
You should
bozo friend.
apologize.
By
I
all
know.
means.
That's why I want to take this opportunity right now. Rob, if you're listening, I'm so sorry.
Oh God, I hope not. I just trashed him for like an hour and a half.
I'm so sorry that in 2012 I started a fuck Rob Zombie chant in the basement of Now That's Class to get at you when you really had done nothing wrong, and it was just your bozo friends who you weren't even hanging out with at the time who took
Yeah.
themselves so seriously. And I just thought it was really ridiculous because I don't think anybody would have ever confused us for a Rob Zombie side project.
Right.
And- but
No,
let
probably
it be said, I wish I was in a Rob Zombie side project. And
Right. I mean, honestly.
Rob,
Right.
I'm very sorry. I hope you'll forgive me. I'm looking forward to the Monsters. And if you ever want to come on the show sometime, and we can publicly air out this dirty laundry and maybe talk about a film that you like.
Yeah,
Maybe sorry.
absolutely.
On our episode of The Monsters.
Oh, that'd be
Yes.
so great.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
because he's redoing that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's the whole reason I wanted to do this, is I could finally
That was the whole point.
Say I'm sorry.
get
Yeah.
that off my chest. So I'm really sorry,
By
Rob.
all
Beautiful.
accounts, he's the nicest guy, so maybe we can pull it off.
Yeah. You
Never know.
you owe
never
it to
know.
you owe it to me after threatening me on Facebook. At least you
Right.
could do.
Wow.
At
Right.
least you could do. Before we call it a night, anything else we want to say about this nasty little movie?
This grimy, dirty little.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for this, I probably would have never gone into Halloween because this was my entry
Wow.
into Halloween.
Really? Okay.
And
I can respect
seeing
that.
this, I went back and watched all the Halloweens. So, this was my entry into Halloween. So
Hell yeah.
I think it's great. I think Rob Zombie's a very interesting filmmaker. I can't wait to see what he does. I think it's definitely worth the people that dislike it. that haven't seen it since it came out, I feel like it's worth a rewatch.
Yeah.
Even the people that have seen it just recently, I think it's worth a rewatch.
Yeah.
No, Connor.
I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, Kayla.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, Kayla, what's your deal?
I'll watch the second one, okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch the
That
second
might
one.
complete the mythos for this
Yeah.
one of Rob Zombie Halloween.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to go back and see the first ones and see if I actually remember them.
And honestly, like watch Halloween Kills too. Halloween Kills as well. Like there's no two. But you know,
well, you have to watch Halloween 2018.
That's true. Kayla's not seen Halloween 1978, so she's got to watch that.
Oh shit!
Oh, yeah.
I
I don't know if I've seen that one or not. So
Yeah, you have to watch 1978,
I have to go back
2018,
because if you want to be like scared and freaked out as a woman, 1978 will do that for you, because that's why I like it so much, because it gives a glimpse on what it's like to be a woman. I mean, honestly, you know. So, yeah, totally. You have to watch that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you would. It's the truth.
I will.
It's the truth. You know, I'm not trying to be like, you know, like this is the only focus, but it has a huge focus on it. You know, what it's like to be a woman in this world. You know, and then of course it's just a good freaking good time. It's a good time.
A classic, if there ever was one.
Seriously, absolutely, I agree. I agree.
Kayla and Ashley, thank you guys so much for coming back on the show tonight. So good to have you guys talk about this little slog through the muck. For better or for worse.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
Real quick, where can all the ghouls and goblins find you guys on the internet here these days?
Go, Kayla.
I don't know.
Plug it. Maybe you don't want them to find you.
Listen, you know what? I'm not in. Don't find me. Don't find me. It's okay. I'm just here for the fun.
Oh my gosh. KaylaMarieTea, if any of you are wondering.
I'm just so inactive right now that I'm yeah, I'm out there.
Yeah. KaylaMarieTea. KaylaMarieTea.
On everything. On literally everything.
Yeah.
Ring that fucking bell.
Yeah. Just do it. Just do it. Kayla and I actually, we have a lot of conversations like this, especially Studio A20. We watch horror movies together sometimes too. We'll just like FaceTime or Discord call each other and just watch movies together. But I'm actually
going to be watching some Halloween.
Yes, we are. I will literally make sure that your ass watches 1978. I will be like,
all right.
Are you watching it? Yeah, no, I'm Ashlinaa. I'm on vacation right now, so you won't find me for a few days. But ASHLINAA everywhere. Yeah, that's really it, honestly. I will say, if you're interested, I do have some charity stuff coming up, raising money for Latinx in gaming, which is, you know, highlighting and spotlighting Latina and Hispanic content creators. And then I will be doing some SFX work really soon, next weekend, Halloween weekend. So if you want to see
that's the good shit.
If you want to see me transform into something scary, come hang out. But that's it.
It's a good time. I highly recommend.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Kayla.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys again for joining in.
Of course.
Thank you for everybody at home, either watching live, hanging out in the chat, catching the recording later. We appreciate you. We're live here on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time next week. Of course, we're talking about Halloween 2018.
Whoop, whoop.
My buddies, Matt Thomas, of course, co-founder of the channel and a great friend, and my man, Moose Marcos of the Finstock Exchange, coming in to talk about another movie called Halloween, released in 2018. It's going to be awesome. So be sure to come back next week, hang out with us, get nasty.
Hopefully we don't have headaches.
Hopefully. I think I got through it. I was drinking this peppermint tea. I feel much better.
I was drinking this White Claw. I have not noticed my headaches since about minute 20.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
I'm surprised that you didn't find the medicinal qualities in your White Claw. I'm so sorry.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm so sorry. Well, take some Tylenol, rest up. We'll see you next week. And don't forget to stay spooky always, my friends. Good night.